All right, so I believe everyone have seen their grades for the previous week assignment. So after today's class, I'm going to be giving an assignment as I've said earlier. So please I would like everyone to pay attention to today's class, right? Because we are going to be needing a lot of the concept we'll be discussing today in doing the assignment. All right, so welcome once again to session 10 of the data science program. This is literally the 10th class we are having since we started. So for those that have stayed consistent, you've actually spent 5 weeks and 10 sessions, right? That is actually very impressive. All right, so for today we're going to continue where we stop with pandas, and then we'll move on to matplotlib. And we may not be able to cover the whole of matplotlib today, right? So we may not be able to cover everything. So, but I would try as much as possible to touch on the necessary concepts and the things that you would require, that you would need for the assignments I'm going to be giving. All right. So probably before we start machine learning next week, I'm just going to round up with it. One thing about data science is that it's a very very large or bulky. It has a very bulky curriculum. There are a lot of things to learn, and so we are actually running short of time, and we don't have enough time to do everything that we would like to do. But we're going to do as much as we can. We're going to treat and handle as much concept as we can, and definitely we're going to touch on the necessary things we need to know. Right. So that is not we are not removing that from the whole learning. Now we're going to touch those necessary concepts, like very very important. The ones that might just be additional or just good to know, we might not touch it because of time, right? So that is just it for that. Let me share my screen. Give me a minute, please. All right. So yesterday we continued with pandas. We've been doing pandas since last week, and I believe we're already getting familiar with the library and how to use it. And I also want to believe that we were able to do some practice on our own, right? You are not just waiting for each lecture before you open your computer and do some things, or when you're given assignments, you then open your laptop and practice what we've done. Like a very good way to solidify your learning or to make what you've learned for that particular class stick is immediately after the class. You can just spend 10 minutes at least, right? Go over what has been done, like just the summary, the concept that were treated. Try to do the same thing, right, on your Jupyter notebook. Like it would actually help you understand better, not just understand, it will actually also make that thing you've learned stick for the longer time, right? Because if you just come to class and then you listen to everything that was said, you saw the practice and everything, at that point while you're in class you're understanding it, like it is flowing and everything is going well, right? So you're actually thinking, you actually think at that point that you don't need to practice because you've understood this concept, but that is actually not true. Once you give it like 2 3 days and you try to or someone asks you a question or someone asks you to do a particular thing regarding that particular concept, you realize that you've forgotten or you don't really know exactly how to go about it again, right? Because that's just how our brain is. Our brain discard whatever it is that we don't put into practice. So once you're done with class, just try to practice, right? Just write some code, practice what we've done, try to just experiment. Examples are there, like a lot of them. You can even create some by yourself, right? So it's just an advice I'm giving everyone here to be a better or to become better at what you are learning here. Try to practice, right? It is better off not to even learn anything at all than to come to class and not execute or implement all those things you've been learning, right? So um that is just what I'm going to that is one advice I'm going to be giving. Right. So now for yesterday's class we looked at pandas, right? I went over some of the concepts that we need to know. So we've discussed series. By now you shouldn't really have much difficulty understanding all these core concepts. So you should be comfortable now, right? Based on how far we've gone with pandas. So we've talked about some um manipulation, talked about data frame operations, talked about how to view your data set, right? So all these attributes, the data frame attributes, we looked at them in the last class last week, and Boolean indexing, which we looked at yesterday, right? So, and so many other things that we looked at. So if maybe you probably didn't join the class yesterday, or you joined the class but you were not able to stick to the end, please I would urge you to go and watch the video. The video is on YouTube already. So you can just go there and go through the video. You don't necessarily need to watch the whole thing. You can just skip to where you need clarity on. So very soon we'll be including timestamps on our video to make it easier for you to navigate the YouTube video. So we'll actually arrange all the things that we talked about in that particular class, so you can just navigate easily through them. Because some person might be going to the YouTube to just pick out a particular part of the video to gain clarity on, not necessarily watch the entire thing. So I understand that part. So we're actually going to try to do that, segment the videos into several portions, so that while you are watching the thing, you can easily navigate or select the part of the video that you want to gain better understanding on. All right. So we did a lot yesterday. Actually, we did a lot yesterday, and I also talked about CSV file, right? Reading CSV files. So we used an example, and there was a particular data set I used to illustrate some concepts, right? And we walked through the stages of analyzing data in matplotlib. Sorry, in pandas rather. My brain is already going to what we're supposed to be doing today. So we started with data acquisition and loading. I will zoom in. All right, so we started with data acquisition and loading, and we talked about how you can read in data from several files like CSV, Excel, other file formats. But the most common one you would meet during your analysis is usually CSV or Excel. So you should know how to work with that now, right? Based on what we talked yesterday. Right. So there's some things in this particular notebook that I might just mention, but you don't have to worry yourself about them. If I didn't explain them in class, you just know that those things are somewhat advanced concept in pandas or in any library that we are doing. So if you're very curious about it, you can as well on your own check it out. Go on YouTube to watch tutorials. Use the textbook that I have sent, right? So just to understand those concepts better. Because why I'm saying that, because this particular one now, you can see I said accessing data from databases like libraries, using libraries like pandas SQL. So this is still part of data acquisition. So I just needed you to know that you can also access database too via Python, right? So in case your data you are working with is stored in a database. So yeah, something that you might also be working with as a data scientist is our databases. So databases is a location where data are stored, right? So they are basically data storage platforms, right? So sometimes you not have your data in a cell format like CSV on Excel. They might be stored in database. So that one is a different kind of approach that you use for that. So you need to learn a different language for that, which is called SQL, structured query language. So people that are into data analysis might be more familiar with this. So they might be more familiar with using structured query language, which is SQL. So I just want to just say that by the side, so you have an idea of that. It's something you can also do, right? So that's it for data acquisition and loading. There are more ways to get data, right? There are a lot of ways. One thing about learning is that you don't learn everything at once. You start from a point, and then as you move on, you build on that foundation, and then you move up, and then understand other aspects of that concept. So you won't learn every single thing about data acquisition and loading at this point. So the ones that we are talking about now is the most important one and the most practical in terms of usability, right? Because that's what you're going to be using most often. So just keep that at the back of your mind in case some of you might have questions regarding this. I believe this should answer your questions. Okay, so the second stage in analyzing data with pandas is data exploration and understanding. So in this particular stage, we talked about it yesterday, that once you've gotten your data, you need to understand your data. You need to see your data. You need to understand the format of your data, the structure of your data, how many rows it has, how many columns it has, and so many other things that pertain your data, the data types of each column. So you need to understand all these things, right? So data exploration and understanding is the next thing to do once you get your data. So that is actually a very natural next step, right? So you get your data, you don't go straight into analyzing it because you can't analyze what you don't know. So you have to calm down, take your time to understand the shape of data, get the information about your data. You can even get basic descriptive statistics like what I showed yesterday using df.describe, right? So just checking out the columns and the just have an idea of what your data looks like, right? So there are so many functions that we talked about yesterday that gives you that capability to understand your data and to also explore your data. And I also said something yesterday that data exploration is very different from the exploratory data analysis. So don't confuse it. So sometimes you might be tempted to use both of them interchangeably, but no, data exploration is different. You're basically just exploring understanding your data, or you can basically use the word data understanding, right? Data understanding. So, but exploratory data analysis now is using data analysis techniques to get insight, explore your data, and just do your basic analysis, like your normal analysis on your data, to get insight and to answer the questions that you have as a data scientist, right? So when we were starting this program, we said that some of us were asking, okay, we want to do data analysis, but we found out that we are offering data science now. So I think we also told everyone that applied that data science is a broader field. So it also encompasses data analysis, but not you won't compare yourself with a data analyst, right? Right, because a data analyst has different set of tools that he or she would use in analyzing data. But the thing that is consistent across these tools are the techniques for analyzing data, like the analysis techniques, right? So the same statistics or statistical summary that you would use or that you use df describe to do in Python using pandas is the same statistics that statistical summary that you also be able to do with other tools, right? So it is the analysis techniques or method is consistent across different tools. So it's just that some tools are more suited for a particular purpose. So that is, I'm just trying to highlight the difference now between a data analyst, because some of us might still not have gotten it right. So you might see them using tools like Excel. Excel is like the fundamental tool, and I believe as a data scientist, you should also be able to use Excel. And it's not compulsory though, but most of the times when you get your data, Excel is the default first place that you just take it to just see. But it's not like it's not compulsory, right? So I'm just saying that. So Excel, they use Excel data analysis, but for a data analyst, it is compulsory that you know how to use Excel. And Power BI, we have what we call Power BI. It's a data visualization um application. And Power BI and Tableau, they go hand in hand, right? So they do the same thing basically. It's just that they are from different companies. They are different products from different companies. It's like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, right? The same thing. So you can, as a data analyst, right, they would learn this visualization too. So now this visualization that they're using Power BI to do and Tableau, you can as well do it in Python using matplotlib, right? So although there are other libraries that would help you to create more sophisticated visualizations and even dashboards, right? So, but basically, you can as well achieve the same thing in Python. So, there are also other tools that data analysts will use, like they will obviously also learn SQL, that is structured query language. So, basically, data analysis is a concept, right? I just want to let us understand this idea now. Data analysis is a concept. Now that concept can be implemented, right, using different tools. You get, so if you understand data analysis itself and statistics, right, it will just require time. Maybe depending on how sophisticated that tool is, it just require time for you to use a tool to be able to implement those concepts. So what I'm going to also advise is try to understand data analysis concepts, right? All these things we are going to be talking about. Right? How to analyze data, how to deal with missing values, how to understand your data, right? So because once you understand this concept, that is what makes you a data analyst, right? It's not necessarily knowing how to use a particular tool, right? So if you understand the approach to doing data analysis and the key ideas in data analysis, it will be easy for you to just implement it using any tool, right? So I just want to say this by the side, to give us an idea, and also a direction to, in case some of us have not yet understood the whole thing. So but as we move on, it's going to get clearer and clearer, right? So I was in data exploration. So we talked about how to explore your data and understanding your data with several functions that we mentioned. The things I discussed yesterday, don't restrict yourself to it, right? Those are the common ways we handle we explore our data. You can also check other materials, resources like the textbook. That's why I dropped the textbook. I expect everybody should constantly read that textbook. Like before the end of this program, you should have finished that textbook. That is actually what I expect. You should have finished that textbook. And trust me, if you combine that textbook with these classes that we're having, you are going to be and with complete also with practice. These three things, I'm assuring you that you are going to even be surprised at how good you'll be in data science. You are going to be very, very surprised, right? So just those three things: the classes consistently, the textbook that I dropped, and also practicing. You're going to be very, very right. So that's just that. Um, so next we move to data cleaning and pre-processing. So yeah, I told you how data cleaning takes most of the time in data analysis generally. right? So I said if you have a dirty data and you don't clean it, it is going to give you, definitely you're going to get some insight from it, but it will be as good as your data. It will be as the insights will be as good as the kind of data you have, right? If you have a bad data, your insights will be bad. If you have a good data, right, a cleaned data, your insights will be good. So you should also always make sure that your data that you're analyzing is clean and it doesn't have any issue. And I mentioned some of these issues yesterday, talked about them: missing values, duplicate, formatting, although there's some issues that will not necessarily impact the insight you get from your data, like what I did yesterday when I changed the column names to lower letter, right? But what it does is that it helps you, it makes the analysis easier, right? So it makes it easier, right? But there are some key issues that you have in your data that you have to attend to, unless what you're going to be getting from your data won't be reliable. All right, so we talked about that, right? Handling missing values with fill NA and drop NA, dealing with outliers, right? Although I said we're going to talk about this later. This is yeah, a kind of a statistical concept, right? We're going to talk about that. And this encoding categorical variables, we are also going to talk about this when we start with machine learning. We're going to talk about this. So there's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot to learn. That's why you need to make sure that you are up to speed with what we've been doing so far. So you won't be overwhelmed with all the information we're going to be putting out in the subsequent weeks, right? So I also talked about duplicates, right? Talked about duplicates. Someone also asked a question, with a very good question yesterday, about inserting a colon in between colons. So we demonstrated that that is part of data pre-processing. Yeah, basically just ensuring that your data is in the right format, or it has the necessary um, um, data for your analysis. So there are a lot of things. It is not limited to what we've done yesterday. So just make sure that you try to expand your knowledge on that. All right. So okay, I also want to be sure that everyone is hearing me. Please let me know in the group chat if you can't hear me. So then we'll continue. Hello everyone. Please, can everyone hear me? Um. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So now today would be looking at exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis. So this is something that you've probably heard of, right? During our introductory class to data science, I talked about exploratory data analysis. I talked about, when I was talking about the data science life cycle, I mentioned exploratory data analysis, right? And now we are going to be looking at it in details, right? So there are a lot of things that you can do. A lot of things you can do. Um, a lot of things that you can do in this particular stage, right? So this is the stage where you this stage focuses on uncovering initial insights and patterns in data, right? So although for data science particularly, this is not your final stage, right? This is not your final stage. But for data analysis and for data analysts, this is usually where they stop, right? So once they do their data analysis, right, they basically just represent them in graphs and charts, and yeah, that is where it stopped. But for data science, this is not the last stage. So you basically do this to uncover insight about your data, right? So there's some questions that you may want to answer. There's some things you may want to know. So you do exploratory data analysis on your data to get the insight and patterns. And pandas is a very good library for that, right? So now there are things that you can do here, and it's not possible to cover every single of them. It is not possible. So We're going to just be going over the common ones that you would encounter during your data analysis, and just to give you an idea too of the kind of EDA you'll be performing in your data. So as you can see here, you can summarize your data, right, using groupby. I feel we've done this. I don't know if, okay, we've not done groupby before, but you can also create visualizations like histograms, scatter plots, box plots, right? So this one is when we start the visualization today, we're going to look at this. We're going to look at this. So it's part of the EDA. You also use your visualization in doing or carrying out your exploratory data analysis. And you can as well carry out descriptive statistics, right? So there's some things that you might want to know statistically. So yeah, there's so many things, and identifying trends and relationships between variables. So there are tons of things you can do in this particular exploratory data analysis stage. So this is where we're going to stay today, and these remaining ones are just there for you to just look at them. As you can see, feature engineering. So this one is basically the next steps when you are approaching ML, that is machine learning. So we're going to look at that later on. So today we're going to be looking at some of the things you can do in pandas, right, while exploring or doing exploratory data analysis. So let me just quickly create a file. Let me continue from my desktop just today. All right, so I'm going to drop this particular this rough sheet on the Google Classroom, so you can just as well go through it while you are reading, so you can just have a better understanding of the whole thing, right? So all right, so yeah, exploratory data analysis, or you can call it EDA. Anywhere you see EDA, just know that is exploratory data analysis. Now, we have our data. We're going to have to reload that data. So I would, instead of just going up here, I'm just going to import it again. Right. So let's assume I want to this is my data name, data post details transaction direction dataset .csv. So I want to read in this thing, read my data into a data frame, into a pandas data frame. Can someone just tell me exactly the syntax I'm going to use to read in this data? Now this data I have here, this syntax, can you just type it on the group chat based on what we said yesterday? Like the full syntax, right? Including the name of the file. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's it basically. It's okay. I think I should just wait for some of us. Okay. Okay. Someone said PD or read CSV bracket. Okay. No, no data inside. Are you reading an empty file? PD read the CSV file parts. PD read CSV data. PD. So yeah, basically that is it. I just wanted to see if we can still remember how to do that. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So how we're going to do it, and I think just one person assigned it to a variable here. All of us just wrote this thing that we are correct, right? But you make sure that whenever you're reading your data, you always assign it to a variable, right? Because that's the thing you're going to be carrying along while doing your analysis. You can't be reading it every time, every time, every time, every time. So you can now see the importance of a variable. Now, we talked about this variable like a long time ago, right? So now we are seeing how very important a variable is. So we can just basically read in our large data into a variable, and we can be carrying that variable like a bag around. And whenever we would need something from it, we can just remove that particular thing from, right. So make sure that whenever you're reading your data, you read it into a variable. And the most common variable to read it into in pandas is what we call df. So the reason for this is because, first of all, this df means data frame, right? And the reason why I just df is to just make your work easier, because you'll be using this variable a lot, right? So typing it over and over again can be a hassle. It can actually be um, tasking, right? So you just use two letters, or you can make it more descriptive, right? So you can just say retails, or you can say retails df, right? Or df retails if you want to make it descriptive. So um, maybe you have multiple data that you read um, into your Python notebook, right? So, but for the case for sake of this, we're just going to leave it at df. So we'll not have to be typing, typing, typing. So the syntax is pd. Now, if I there's something I'm missing here, who can tell me? Something I'm missing, who can tell me? Who can tell me quick? In this particular, that if I write this pd now dot read csv, this pd dot read csv, it is not going to run pd dot read csv. Like no matter what I did, it's not going to run. Can someone like just point that out? Yeah, exactly. Import pandas. So it's very, very, very normal for you to just want to do your analysis, just come and start writing. So you always make sure you import pandas as PD. So you import the necessary library that you'll be using for your analysis or for the work you're going to be doing. So we import pandas, right, and then use pandas PD to read CSV. So in case you forget how to use this read CSV, you can just use what I showed us the other time and put the question mark, right? So it should give us this thing, right? So if we look at the documentation of that read CSV, you see pd.read CSV, right? So these are the arguments or parameters that we can have in this single function. Say file path is the first one. That is the file name that we'll put there, right? You're not seeing my coding. I believe it is visible. Probably your network. I'm just checking network, please. So this is the first one. So this separator, this one is for delimiter, right? Depending on the file type you're using. Okay, so we actually have a delimiter here. We have so these are actually a lot of things like that, and I have not even used it before, right? So there are a lot of them here. So but sometimes you might need to specify. So you can see we have like plenty parameters just for each CSV. I think up to 30 or so. So there are a lot of things. You don't need to know everything, just the ones that are necessary. So as you move on, you continue learning them, continue learning how to use depending on the work you're doing. If it requires you have to learn that, but don't disturb yourself with all this at all. Don't disturb yourself. So basically, these are the things you would see in case you forgot that particular rate here. So read the comma separated value into a data frame. This is what it does, right? So it even explains all the parameter. I literally I think this particular syntax, this question mark is one of the best thing in in Jupyter Notebook, right? It's one of the best thing I really because sometimes you might not even have internet to check some things on Google, right? Or browse some things. So you can just quickly use this and it will show you to give you the answer. So I feel DIR for me, DIR and this question mark are actually the most useful to one of the most useful tools in Python in IPython generally. So just try to always make use of that because you probably forget a lot of things as you are moving on. All right, so now we're going to put our data here and then assign it to a variable that's df. Okay, so I still why not found retail. Okay, I think I made a spelling error. All right, so all right. So I'll basically just start exploring my data. I can simply see my data here. Let me see what my data is like. Um, okay. All right. So these are the things we have here. Okay. So you can do head. You can do info. Basically, this info better to give you everything at a glance. So you can just do only this info to just understand your data generally. Just see. Right, as you can see here, there's something you notice that I have actually reduced the size of data to just 20,000 rows. Right, so to be yeah, I think first. So I don't know why it's giving me this range index though, but what we should have is just 20,000 rows. So and these are the different data types, right? So just take a look at it and you can just understand your data. And next thing is basically let's do what we did yesterday because I want to like make sure that my columns are all in small letters. Right, so it makes my work easier. So who can complete the syntax for me? Right. What we did yesterday, I want to convert my columns to converting columns to lower case. So does anybody remember the syntax we used for it yesterday? To convert our columns. Let me even print out the columns first so we can all see it. So we have print df columns. So these are our columns, right? So you can see them here. Okay. df.columns.string dot is lower. df.columns.string dot lower. Okay, yeah, you got it. Which one now? So yeah, remember what I said that to convert your colon, you have to use a string function. So if you don't add this string, you are going to it's not going to work. So you need to add the string to give this list of colons the functionality to make it access the functionality of a string. So let's even try it without a string and see what it's going to do. So if you just say df.colons.lower, you're going to get an error, right? So index object has no attribute lower, so you won't be able to do that. So you need to put this string here, string dot lower. Right. So if we do that, we're going to get this. Right, we're going to get everything is lower. So basically, you have that done. You assign it to your colons again, so it will apply to the data frame because doing this is not going to change anything. It's just going to give you an output. So you have to assign it to the colons, original colons, so it updates it. So we'll do that, right? And we can as well come here and print the colons again. print columns. All right, so now we have that. So let's look at the different columns, right? So in exploratory data analysis now, normally you are always guided by a set of questions, right? When you're doing data analysis, you're guided by a set of questions that you need to use the data to answer. So let's just say for this particular data, let's create some questions that we're going to answer with it. Questions or objectives, data objectives or questions to answer with the data. Someone is asking, when do we use display and print? You said we should use display in data frame. Yeah, I've not used print for any data frame yet, right? So what I said is that whenever you have a data frame that is not at the end of your cell, right, and maybe in the middle of this place, instead of using print, you use display so that you get a very good output instead of the normal output, right? So now we'll just try to create some objectives here. Let's say, okay, we have product ID, which is a categorical data. We have quantity, right? So we can basically, okay, we have product category. So we can say, okay, find out the price or the total price for each, or let's say average price rather, average price for each category, for each product category, right? So that's the question. So I'm doing this just so you follow me and see how exactly we approach data analysis. So about most of the time, these questions are what your stakeholders will be giving to you. So as a data scientist, you are mostly working in a company unless you want to freelance and work on your own. But even if you're freelancing, you're working for someone. So okay, that was a mistake. So even if you're working in a company as a data scientist, you are answerable to people we call stakeholders, right? So those stakeholders are the ones that make the major business decisions. And when they have a problem that require data to solve, they will now come to us who are the data analysts and the data scientists, right? So they come to us not empty-handed. They come to us with either with two things, but the most important, the one they will always come with are the questions that they want to answer or the problem they want to solve, right? So after that, they will also give you data some of the time, but the other times you might be the one to get data by yourself. Although in some companies which have a very big structure, data structure, they have who we call data engineers. So these data engineers are the one that would source for data and give it to us who are data scientists. And then we analyze the data and we work on data based on the questions that are given to us by the stakeholder. So I am just saying that because of what we are doing now. I'm trying to generate questions, but this is not what you will do. When I give you an assignment, it's going to come with a set of questions. So you're going to use that to get in. So I can say find the average price for that. Or you can also say find the minimum the minimum price for the product. I can also say the same thing. Find the maximum price for the product, right? So you can also do the same thing for this. You can say and say find the total price total amount rather for each product category, right? So we can also say find the which of the which of the payment method had the highest let's say highest or which of the, how will I frame this, which of the payment method had the highest amount that we can put it that way. So these are just few questions that we can come up with based on the variables in this data, right? So can also come and say which of the product category has which of the product category had the highest quantity. Quantity. All right, so these are just a few questions that we can try to answer with these variables we have here, right? So now, the first question, find the average price for each product category. So you have to break this question down. So as a data analyst, as a data scientist rather, you need to have different skills aside data analysis. So you need to know how to ask questions, right? So you need to know how to ask questions. So if you are asked a question, you have to break it down. So first thing you have to ask yourself, okay, the question is time to find the average price for each product category. First of all, how many product category do we have? So that is a question. You answer that question first, and then you can now say for each of those products. So this particular question, we can break it into two. So how much 2 steps? What are the different product categories, and what are the different average prices for each of these categories? So we can use that to answer our question. So you can come and just check what are the different product categories. Let's say you've already seen this data here, right? Let me come here and just display our data. Let me come here and add this. Say display df dot head. All right, so now first of all, we have this is what we have, right? So to me now, I'm assuming I'm working on this data. I saw these variables and I realized that this store location, you don't need it for anything. So we don't need this particular variable, so we can easily drop it, right? So to just make the whole thing easier, so I can come here and say, let me drop this store location, dropping a colon. So I can come and say df dot drop. Yeah, so you can come and say store, what's the particular store location? You can just copy this, come here, right? So axis is equal to 1. So now I've dropped that particular colon, right? It is no longer there. The reason I did that was because I don't need it in my analysis, right? So it is not part of what the questions I'm asking for here. So I can also do the same thing for okay, I think I know why this is giving me 0 to 1000. I didn't actually completely delete this thing. So, but that is just by the way. So I also want the drop transaction date, because my questions doesn't ask me to do anything regarding transaction date. We'll still look at how to work with time and date data. So that is actually a different thing on its own. So it has its own techniques and methods. So, but for this particular one, we are also going to drop df.drop payment transaction date. And there's something I want to let everyone know here. You really need to appreciate how I am teaching this particular concept or this particular pandas, because I am explaining it to you how I will approach it in a normal setting, like when I'm doing a normal data analysis. Because normally the kind of um some of the times you will see explanation on these things just at the conceptual level, just telling you different concepts, right? But when it comes to using it, you might not necessarily get a good quality tutorials out there. So you just have to understand that this is a very, very good way of explaining this concept, right? So please just pay attention, pay very, very good attention. And as I am working, you should also be you should also try to understand my thought process too. Because this is not something I planned. I didn't plan all this I am doing right now. I'm just like doing it naturally as a data analyst would do it, right? So it will give you a very realistic idea and an expectation, and give you a realistic expectation of what to or basically what to expect when doing an analysis, right? So now I've dropped that particular column, and now this transaction date I also want to drop it because I'm not using it now for my analysis. So the reason why we have axis is equal to 1 here is because you are telling this drop function does not know where to drop from. It does not know if you're telling it to drop from the row or drop from the column. So if you tell it to drop from if you tell it axis equal to 1, that means you're telling it drop from colon. When you look at the colon, and in the colons, look at the variables with this particular name, right? And then drop it. If you put axis 0 here, it's going to give you an error because there is no row index that has this particular name, right? So it is what we're going to get here, key error. Transaction date not found in axis, that is row. So there's also another thing I need you to learn. Please learn how to read error messages. It will help you know where the error is from. So whenever you see red stuff like this, don't be scared at all. It's a good thing. It is telling you where to fix or where the error is coming from. So this is a key error, right? There's actually a section of Python where you learn the different kinds of errors, but we generally have that is for advanced Python. So, but for general purpose, just learn how to read your error messages. Go to the last line, and this last line will tell you what error you are facing. So if you can't fix it, you can just copy this error and paste it on Google, right? So you see different answers and different things that will help you navigate your error, right? And also when you are having an issue with your code and you are telling someone that this is what I'm facing, the person will always ask you, what error are you facing? Show me your error code, because that is the particular thing that will direct us to what the issue. So now it's giving us a key error that this particular transaction date is not found in the index, right? So let's say we put 1 here. We're not going to get an error, right? Because 1 is what in the index. So it has dropped 1 for us already. So the index 1. So as you can see, it 1 at 0. So it has dropped the second row. Do you understand? So let me just drop this. I think 1 and 2,000. Right. So 20,000. Let me drop this. So in place equal to true. What is the syntax? Okay. 9. Okay, let me leave this for now. I'm trying to remove those remaining rows there. But let me just leave it. So let's go back to the transaction base that we were talking about. I wanted to make an update to the column. All right. So now we've dropped the transaction date and also dropped store location. I just have to. So someone asked the question yesterday that whenever you about making save points, creating save points. So it's also a good practice that you create copies of your data frame. I mean, we want it to right store location. Okay. So where is that particular? Okay. So I basically dropped these two two columns. So I have this remaining one. So I want to find out the different product categories. So the columns that has the product category is this particular column, product category column. So I can easily just come here and bring out that column and say product category. All right, so this is it, right? I don't know why this NEN is just giving me a problem here. You just give me a minute. Let me quickly resolve an issue. All right, all right. So I think I've figured that out. So let me just rerun this. Okay. All right. So we now have about 2,000 um rules here. So you might not see me doing anything, but it's some I just did it in Excel quickly. So I'll rerun this and then to go and rerun this before we rerun this. All right. So I think I should bring this down. Bring it down. Yeah. To follow order. Okay, so now if I get this product category, I'm going to basically get all this, a list of product categories. So now the question is, what are the different product categories? Right, so there's a function in pandas that we can use to get that. So it is called the unique function. Unique function. So it's basically used to get, for a categorical variable, it is used to get the different unique categories. So for this particular one, I can't really tell how many unique categorical variables we have here, but I can just tell we have books. Yes, we have home decor, right? We have electronics. So it might be that we have just these three categories, but we might also have more because there are hidden data in between 4 and 1,194. So we have to just use unique to get the exact value. So I can come here and say d dot sorry, df with the particular colon products category dot unique, right? So if we run this, we're going to get this array. So now, as you can see, we have books, we have home decor, we have electronics, we have clothing. So these are the unique categories we have. So you basically, what's the first question? What are different product categories? So you basically answered that question. That is a very simple question, right? But you've answered it. You've gotten an insight already. That's it. Like, as simple as this is an insight, right? But it's very basic. So you've now understood that, okay, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 unique categories in this product category. So you now understand, okay, these are the things I'll be working with. These are the categories that that the company has, like, right, they have products for these different categories. So you can see we have NAN here. We didn't deal with missing value, but you already know how to do with missing value. You can either drop it or you can fill it with the highest with the category with the highest frequency here. That is for categorical variable. For continuous variable or numerical variable, just fill the NAN with the mean. So that's it for that. So you've answered that question already. So there's something else you can also do. You can actually get the frequency or the count for each of these categories. So you want to know how many of these categories we have each in our data. So there's another function we use for that. It's called value count. So you come here and say df product category dot value count. So this particular function. Now, there's something I need you to know. This df product category is a series. You know, this is a single column from this data frame now. So this is a series. So we're now working on a series here. So series has different attributes that we can use on it. So the way to do that is just to come here and say type. Remember the type function. Python this. Can come here and say type. And you see it telling us it's pandas series, right? So a single column from a data frame is a series data structure, is a series. So you have to understand how to work with series to be able to work with a single column. So you have to know that. So when you do not slice out or specify this thing, this is a data frame. So if I put type df is a data frame. So these are just small things that you need to know that would help you to navigate pandas better and effectively. All right, so we have product category. Let me just click this one and come. Right, so there's what we call value count. I think, is it value count or value count? I think value count. But you can see small mistakes can lead to error. So this value count will basically give you the count of each of the category. So now you're already getting insight. So you can see that books now has the highest category. That is 531, followed by home decor, 499, followed by electronics. So basically, the difference between each category is not so high. You understand? So you now start to understand that, okay, we have a lot of books that were sold. So the books were the highest sold in this category. So it just give you an insight into the number of each of the categories. So just know this value count. It's a very good function in pandas. So if you instead you don't want to get the count, you want to get the percentage instead of each, because percentage is a very good way to represent categories. So you want to get the percentage of each of this category, you can put something inside this value count function. You just say normalize. So this is a keyword argument. So say equal to true. So this normalize will convert this count to percentage. So if you run that, we're going to get this, right? So as you can see, it's 9 percentage form. So it will give you a better understanding. So Brooks is what? 0. 26, that is 26%. That is if you multiply, yeah, you know how to convert percentage to number. So this is 26%, this is 25%. So books has 25. We have in our data frame, books is actually 26% of the entire category. So basically, you're already gaining insight from your data. You're already understanding the ones that were sold most, right? So if I had maybe the data set to be 100,000, right, as we had initially, maybe we'll get a different percentages for each of the category. But for what we have now, these are the different percentages. So these are two functions you need to know. Unique and value count is for categorical variables in pandas. Value counts. All right. So that's it for the first question. All right. So for the second question, we said find out the total amount for each product category. So find out, let me copy this, find out the total amount for each product category. So we are doing analysis now already, so I can come here. Now you have to break down this question. Find out the what? Total amount. So total amount. So this total amount, do I have the data for total amount? That is the first question you ask yourself. If you have data, you say good, so that's fine. For each product category, okay, I already have the product category, so great. So I have the data required to answer this question. So I have to now break it down into two. So I have to know each product category and also get the total amount for it. So Pandas has a very, very good function for helping us do that. It is called group by function. So you need to be learning all these functions I'm mentioning. So what this group by function does is that it aggregates the total amounts according to the categories. So normally, if you want to get the total, let's say the it should be, let's say, the sum total amount, because total amount is a variable itself. The total amount is a variable. I can say the sum total amount for each product category, or let's say the average total amount. All right. So normally, if you want to get the average total amount for the entire categories, I will just come here and say pdf dot. No, I'll use the particular column, right? That is total amount column, right? And I'll say mean. So this aggregation would give me the average total amount for all the categories, right? So it aggregates everything together. But if I use group by, group by is actually going to aggregate it based on the categories that I am grouping by. So this is what I mean. If I come here and I say df dot group by, and I say, what am I grouping by? In this particular situation, now what am I grouping by? Can someone let me know in the live chat? What am I going to be grouping by based on this question that I have here? All right, product categories, products. All right, great. So that's fine. That's fine. We are going to be grouping by the product category. So we have the product category here. Product category. So this is the syntax for it. Group by is a function. It has a bracket. So in the bracket, you just put the name of the column that you want to group by, and then there's something that will happen if you just say, if you're using group by, you always use group by with a particular aggregate function. So in this case, we want to get the average. So you always use it, and you can use it with sum, you can use it with average, you can use it with so many other aggregate functions that we've talked about. So you don't just use group by like that. You use it with to make sense. You don't just use it like that. If we use it like that, we're just going to get this output here that okay, this is a group by object. It's not give you anything, all right? So we have to use an aggregate function. So in this case, we are using min. And now there's something else you're supposed to do. So, but if you do this, it is going to group by product category for all the columns in your table. So if I run this, I think it's going to take a little time. Now, it's going to give me a type error, or this is a very long error, right? Basically what it's saying that there are some columns in our table, right, that you cannot use min on. So what you have to do is that you make sure that you specify the column or the variable you want to group it by, and the variable here is total amount. So we'll come here and say df total amount. So if you run this, let me take correct syntax. Okay, so I think it's all right. So this is what you're going to do. You will use the group by function on the particular categorical variable, and then put the variable you want to group or aggregate in a bracket after this. As you can see, we are using a different syntax. So you need to know this different syntax for the different things you can do in pandas. So this is how you usually use group by in pandas, right? So for a particular variable, right, you are going to specify it here. But in case where all the variables in your data frame are numerical variables that you can actually use min on, that will make sense using min, you will not need to specify this. So you just go on and just group by product category for all variables. So that's just it for that. So now, as you can see, it has grouped by for all the variables. Initially, what we had here, if we print this, print, you see that it had it's grouped by for all the products. So we have 242.79, but now it's grouped by for each category. So for books, this is the total average total amount. For clothing, this is the average total amount. For electronics, this is the average total amount. So as you can see, it was electronics here that had the highest total amount, 247.98, right? So as you can see, electronics are the highest, but it's just slightly higher than the rest. So these are the kind of insights that you can be getting from your analysis. So this is basically answering the which question is that? The second question here. Find out should be average total amount, right? So that is how you basically answer questions using pandas. So for the third one, let's just go straight to that. There's not much time. I want to make sure I introduce matplotlib today. All right, so let's see this. Now, the next question, which of the payments method had the highest amount? So you need to understand your question well. Which of the payment method? So payment method, do I have a variable in my data that tells me the different payment methods? So you will check df.columns. Okay, customer ID, product ID, quantity, price, payment. Okay, yeah, payment method. All right, so we have payments method there, great. So now, what is the asking? Had the highest total amount. So we say total amount. All right, highest total amount. Great. So basically, how you do that is still using the same group by. So most of the things you'll be doing in your analysis are you basically be using almost the same functions, because most of the time you are answering similar questions but with different variables you get. So the same thing we are going to do here, we'll just come and say df dot what's the okay so what is the product category? Okay, payment method rather. Payment method dot group. Oh no. I mean that's not it. Group by. No, say payment. Nobody's correcting me. I can make mistakes sometimes. That's why you are here. And if I'm doing anything that is not correct, just make sure you correct me. So what are we going to have here now? We've done DF group by payment. So what are we going to have here in this particular bracket? I need responses, please, to know that we are all following. Exactly. We're going to have total amount and then sum. All right. So in this case, if we run it, we're going to get this. We're going to get this, right? So now we can see we have four different categories of payments. We have cash, we have credit card, we have debit card, and we have PayPal. So these are the four different means in which customers paid for our product, right? So we can now like try to see the particular payment method that had the highest transaction amount. So now we've aggregated it using group by. So and we used some. So cash for using cash, we're able to get a total amount of I think 119,505. Using credit card, we're able to get this amount. Using debit card, able to get this amount. So basically here, debit card was the payment method that had the highest total amount, right? So this is basically your normal. This is how you do analysis, right? So you're already getting inside, but this is not where you stop, right? This is the basics. Where I'm just trying to introduce you to how you do analysis, right? But so this is the kind of thing you'll be seeing while doing your analysis. So, but we can also say, let me even know the total sum or the total amount we made from our products. So I can come and say DF. No, I want someone to tell me. I want to get the total amount for all my products, all the product I've sold so far. What syntax will I use? I want to get the total amount for all the product I've sold so far. What syntax will I use? Can someone just type it out? DF total amount. Exactly. Thank you very much, Uchenna. So that's it. You just bring out the um, total amount dot sum. You're basically going to use aggregation function. So don't get confused with this thing I'm doing. I told yesterday you can get a column either by using the bracket or using dots. So if you were in yesterday's class, you understand what we did now. So basically, if we check this, this is the total amount we've made so far from our business. Let's say it is from January to let's say April or March, the first quarter of the year. This is the amount we made. We made 484,856 naira or dollars, let's say, for that particular period of time. So this is just giving the general idea of the general amount we made. But if you want to know for each payment method, for like how each payment method contributed to this, you can just use this particular group by. So it will give us this, right? So it is drilling more into the different payment. You can even do it for um product categories too, as we've done before. You can do it for other categorical variable we have too. So that is how you do that. So let's just go to our next question. I need us to enter matplotlib today, just introduce so we know that we've started that. All right. So now which of the product category had the highest quantity? So basically, this is also something that we're going to use group by. So as you can, if you've noticed, we have been using group by a lot, which is how you work with two variables when one variable is a categorical variable and another variable is a numerical variable. So just know that. All right. So in this case, we want to quickly get the what's the question again? Which of the products category had the highest quantity sold? Quantity sold. So which of the product category had the highest quantity sold? So I'll just come here and see df dot pro. I already know my column name, so I don't need to go back there again. Product category, no, dot group by. Or first of all, we can come and say I want to know how many product I have sold so far. I can say dot. I don't have forgotten the columns for quantity, so I'll just go to columns and see. Okay, this is what is that quantity? So it's quantity that we have here. So I'll just come and say quantity dot sum. Right. So I'm going to get it. So I've sold 9,850 products so far in my business, right? But this is just giving me a general idea. I want to know how many products I have sold, how many products I have sold for each categories, right? How many sales I've made for each category. Let's put it that way. So I can easily come here and say df group by, right? And I will say quantity. No, I will say product category, and then say quantity. All right. So I'm going to get what exactly is the df group by. All right. So this is what I'm going to get now, right? Books, clothing, electronics, and home decor. So they have the different quantities, right? So as you can see here, books has the highest quantity, that is 2,040. So one thing you notice about this data set is that most of the categories are equally distributed. So this mostly is not how a real life data would be, right? So in real life, you might see books might be 5,000, clothing might be 200 and something, electronics might be 2,000. So it would not be even. So I think this data was actually created manually. All right, so I don't know, but this is not how it is very, 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 very almost balanced, right? So, but this just give you an idea of how to do most of this aggregation by category. So we've been able to answer 4 of the questions. So I can come here and say, find the minimum price for the product, right? So the same thing. So just come here and say df dot group by mean no product category, and then say price, right? And this mean. So as you can see, to give us the minimum price, so as the same thing I'm saying, they are almost the same thing. So if I put max here to give us this, so this data set is not a reflection, it's not a real data set, it's not a real live data set, but I feel and it's still give you an idea of how to approach all these questions. So this is it for exploratory data analysis. If you notice, we've just been able to do using group by, right? We've been able to use group by to answer most of this question. But let me quickly get here. Right. So, but normally we have other methods, right, that we can use to do our EDA. So in data analysis, we have what we call univariate analysis, and we have what we call bivariate analysis. So this univariate analysis is when you are actually using just one variable, when you're analyzing just one variable to get insight from it. Why bivariate analysis is when you are comparing 2 variables, you are doing analysis on 2 variables. So now if you look at all this thing we've done in this particular group by, we're actually working on two variables, product category and price. So this is a bivariate analysis. This is a bivariate analysis. You're trying to bring in two variables together, trying to understand how they relate. That is what we call bivariate analysis. So, but for univariate analysis is actually very straightforward. So it is in this case where we just come here and say df total dot sum. So you're basically analyzing or doing analysis on just the total amount. This is a single variable. So this is an example of a bivariate analysis. You're getting a single value, right? You're working on a single, so you can say mean, right? So depending on your question might require you to use just one variable to answer that question. Your question might require you to use two variables. So these are the two things or two kinds of analysis you'll be meeting frequently in your EDA, exploratory data analysis. But as we are going into, when we enter machine learning, you will realize that we can also do multivariate analysis, right? When we compare two or more variables and how it affects a single variable. So for now, I just need you to understand these basics, right? So we have univariate analysis and we have bivariate analysis. So there are a lot of things that you can do with your analysis, and I really wish I can cover everything. But I just hope that I've been able to give you an idea of how to approach some of these by using your questions to direct the kind of analysis you do, right? So you don't just go into your data and start analyzing or getting different insights that will not be relevant. So that is it. Sometimes, okay, let me just give you something different from what we've done. So in the columns we have df dot columns. You can actually check how price relates to the discount applied, right? So both of them are numerical variable. So if I say df dot info, you can see price is float, discount applied is float. So there's a data analysis technique you can use to understand how they relate. It is called correlation. So correlation is a statistical technique that is used to assess the relationship between two numerical variables. Basically, you're just trying to see if one variable is affecting that other variable, right? Not necessarily affecting, like if this variable and this other variable are moving in the same direction. So if the price is increasing and the discount is increasing, so they are actually positively correlated. But if price is decreasing and discount is decreasing, right? If price is increasing and discount is decreasing, if they're moving in the different direction, they are negatively correlated. So correlation is another concept that you also need to know as a data scientist, right? So you will definitely use it in working with two numerical variables. The one I talked about, groupby, is basically used for a categorical variable and a numerical variable. But for correlation, we use it for two numerical variables. So in pandas, I think we have I think df core. So we have a function called df core. If you put question mark there, you're going to see what it does. So correlation method, right? And then you would have some other things. So you can even see how it is used, right? So basically, so yeah, so but what this df core would do is that it would actually apply the correlation to all the variables in your data set, right? But in this case, our data set has some variables that are not numerical, right? So if you do the types, you see that we have object here, we have price, we have object here, we have object here, we have object here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just create a new data frame, df2, and assign only the numerical variables to that new data frame. So I'm going to come here and create a list. Let me just say numerical var and create a list for that. I can say product ID, product ID. Oh no, sorry. The ones that are numerical variable is cost. No, we don't need customer ID. Quantity, right? Put quantity here. We have price. We have discount applied. Applied. We have total amount. So this is the list of all the numerical variables. So we can literally create a new data frame and remove only this numerical variable and add this numerical variable rather to the new data frame. So I'll come here and say df2 and use this list on our data frame. So I'll come here and say num var. So basically what I've done here is that I assigned these columns to a new data frame, only the numerical variable. So if I come here and say df2, you see I'll get just the numerical variables, quantity, price, discount applied, right? So now I can perform a correlation on them. So I can come here and say df.core. So now it will give you a table like this. So now what you do to understand this table is that you have to understand what negative correlation is, positive correlation is, and no correlation. So correlation is I've told you what correlation is. So but it's represented by values from -1 to +1. So -1 means that it is strongly negatively correlated, right? While +1 means it is strongly, the two variables are strongly positively correlated. That means they're moving in the same direction, right? Why a correlation of 0 means there is no correlation at all, like they are not related at all. So it's a way to understand your data as well, right? Doing your data analysis and doing your exploratory data analysis. So when we start with our visualization, I'm going to show you a graph that we can use to visualize the correlation between two variables. But in this case, we can just see the numbers. So obviously, quantity. Now we have the variables on the row, and we also have the same variables on the right. So it's kind of cross-tabbing them. So quantity and quantity is 1, that is +1. Obviously, it should be strongly correlated with itself. So quantity and price, this is the correlation value, 0.0 something. So the correlation between price and quantity is not so strong. So you can see discount applied here. The correlation is -0. So you can see it is not so strong, but it is slightly negatively correlated. So you can see a quantity and total amount is strongly positively correlated. That means 0.7, meaning obviously the higher the quantity, the higher the amount. So it is strongly correlated positively. So the same thing, that's how you can interpret all these values that we are seeing here. Right? So you can see this one, the same thing here. Quantity and total amount and price, 0.6, strongly correlated. Right? So there are a lot of information you can get from this table particularly. So this is another way we can get insight from our data. And this another is another bivariate analysis technique using correlation. So just because of time, we're going to be stopping here for EDA. You can see that this has taken a lot of time. This is what data analysis is. Data analysis is not something you can do like in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It will take time, definitely, because you are literally there are a lot of things to be done basically. And this is just the EDA part. We did the data cleaning yesterday. So just imagine you are doing all the process at the same time. Right? So just try to practice, right? There are a lot of things that I've said today, but try to practice them. Go through the video again. You will definitely get comfortable with all this we are saying. So as we move on, definitely, I'll be introducing some things by the side, some other data analysis technique, but I'm just trying to give us a foundation where we can start with. So I will not bug you or overload you with information. So this is it for pandas. We're going to be stopping here for pandas and then enter matplotlib. So I really want to introduce matplotlib today and then move on to conclude it next week Saturday and move on to machine learning because we need to start with machine learning as possible. So yeah, this is it for pandas. Let's quickly move on to matplotlib. Okay, that's a lot. That's actually a lot. Just breathe in and don't let it overwhelm you. Take your time after this class. Go through the video again if you can. Pick out those salient points. And that's why having notes is important because during teaching, I might be saying some things that are very, very key. So if you jot them down, you'll be able to know where to focus on. So that's just another thing. Right. So we are done with pandas for now. We'll definitely be referring back to it. So just keep that in mind. So everything is built on top of the other. So we are building as we are progressing, we are building on a particular concept. So now today we'll be looking at it's almost this 20, we have 20 minutes more. So well, let's see what we can do. So we'll look at data visualization with matplotlib. So matplotlib is another library. This is a new library. We've talked about NumPy, talked about pandas, and today we'll be introducing matplotlib. So basically, matplotlib, mat is from a software called MATLAB, a software for data visualization called MATLAB. Plot basically is for plotting, and lib is library. So basically, it's a data visualization library, right? So these are the outline. We're looking at what data visualization is, the common data visualization techniques, matplotlib core concepts, how we can use matplotlib for data visualization, and how we can plot various charts with matplotlib, right? So what exactly is data visualization? I'm very, very sure, 100% sure that everybody here has seen a graph. Like everybody here has seen a data viz. So we can also call it data viz for short. So if you see it outside, if you see people calling it data viz, it's still the same thing, data visualization. So everybody here, this one I'm going to say it with confidence that everybody has seen a data visualization one way or the other. So as we move on, you're going to understand what data visualization is and how to also create them and some concepts too in data visualization. So in data science as a whole, data visualization can be a separate field on its own. Someone can decide to specialize in data visualization. I can decide to, okay, I want to specialize in visualization because data visualization it has its own it's like its own field, right? So there are a lot of things to learn, or there are a lot of things you can do there. So, but here we're going to be giving you an understanding of what data visualization is and how you can represent data in charts and in graphs and some other plots, right? So that's what we're going to be doing in this particular module, right? So now, what exactly is data visualization? So data viz is, I'll call it data viz for short. The visualization is just too long to be pronouncing repeatedly. So data viz is the art of representing information in a graphical format to make it easier to understand, right? Analyze and communicate trends, patterns, and relationship within data. So now, the reason why this field came about is because of the difficulty in interpreting or understanding numbers. Remember, we just finished exploratory data analysis, right, with pandas. So we are seeing a lot of numbers and a lot of things like the correlation that we did, the group by, the different frequencies, the percentages, and all those things. So those things you might be like, okay, I was understanding them, but there's some situation where we'll have a lot of them, and it will be difficult to just wrap our head around it. So data viz is a way to represent this information in a very presentable and easy to understand manner. So once you see a bar chart, for example, you might know what a bar chart is. Once you see a bar chart, nobody needs to tell you anything. I don't need to come as a data scientist to start explaining what is this and what this is not. You automatically know that, okay, this one with the highest bar is the one with the highest price, or the one with the highest total amount. So that is what data viz does. It actually appeals, or it actually it's actually human nature to understand picture and to understand things that are represented in picture. So you already know this particular saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that is very true. So if you show someone a picture, the thing that you are going to use 5 minutes to explain, a single picture can just do the explanation for you. So that is data visualization. The thing that you're going to use a lot of time explaining to somebody that does not even know anything about data analysis. By using data viz, you would already explain to that person without stress. That's what data visualization is, and that is why it is very, very important. So data viz basically transforms raw numbers into visual elements like charts, graphs, and maps. So there are a lot of things, a lot of visual, a lot of data visualization, right? So we're going to talk about them. Or even there are some that are even beyond what we're going to talk about. As I always said, we can't cover every single thing. Even as I am now, I am still learning new data vizes, like new charts, right? Because there are a lot of them, right? So well, we're going to be giving you an understanding or taking you through the ones that are very common, right? So if you just read it, you see that it allows human perception to grasp insights that might be difficult to glean from tables or spreadsheets alone. So what are the benefits of data visualization? Enhanced understanding, right? So as I've said, improved communication. So instead of spending time and effort trying to explain the numbers that are there that you've gotten from your analysis, data viz will make it easy for you. So as a data scientist, data visualization most times is not for you. Although sometimes you can use data visualization to understand your data yourself, right? But most of the time, when you've done your analysis and gotten your insight, especially for data analysts, they represent their information in a dashboard containing numerous vizes that would be presented to people that requested for that analysis, because you yourself, you already understand what you did, but people might not really understand it. So you have to make it easy for them to understand by using these data visualizations, right? So it is used, it improves communication, informed decision making, right? So when your manager sees if a data visualization or a chart, is going to understand the insights that you've gotten from that data. And also, it also helps in data exploration, right? You can see it here. We did data exploration initially, right? And we also did EDA. So there are some data visualizations we're going to be using or that we can use to explore our data. While doing our data exploration, we can use different charts to understand it better. So we're going to talk about that too, right? So these are the benefits of data visualizations. All right, so I'll be going through some of the data visualization techniques that we have, the most common one, right? So these are the ones that you'll be using most often. So we have line charts. We have what we call line chart. I believe you've seen something like this before. So you can see this is like a line, right? So, but the line is moving in different direction based on the data. So line chart is ideal for showing trends or changes over time. So whenever you have a data that requires you to understand how something is changing over time, let's say within the week, from Monday to Sunday, or from within hours, let's say from morning to evening, or even within seconds from you get. So just understand, even within months and within years too. So just the variable that has to be there should be a date time variable. So whenever you're trying to understand how something changes over time, you can use a line chart. Remember when I gave you an assignment, I told you to create a pandas series that has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday as the index and temperatures as the values. You can use line charts to understand or to visualize that particular series. So what you're going to have here are the weekdays, and what you're going to have in the y-axis here are the temperature values, right? So this in data visualization, this lower part is called the x-axis. Why this vertical part is called the y-axis. So these are the things that you also need to know and understand as you are moving forward. So this is a line chart, right? So this is basically what it's used for. Now, the next one is a bar chart. I believe you've also come across this before. Bar charts is very, very common, and it is used for comparing categories. So whenever you have a categorical data, bar chart is the best. So all these things that we just did recently, doing groupby, we can use bar chart to illustrate them. So we can have book, we can have electronics, we can have the other ones here, and the bar chart will quickly show us the one with the highest price or the one with the highest total amount. So at a glance, we are going to see it and understand it. So we don't have to start checking the number and start interpreting each number. So that is for bar chart, used for categorical variables. So the other one we have is scatter plots. Yeah, scatter plot. You might not have come across this before. It's not so common. But scatter plot is used to explore relationships between two variables. Now, scatter plot, when I talked about correlation, I mentioned scatter. There's a visualization, or there's a chart you can use to understand it. So this scatter plot is the particular chart. So as you can see, in scatter plot, we have two variables, one at the y-axis and one on the x-axis. So let's say we have price here and we have amount here. So the scatter plot will be used to represent it. So if we see something like this, a trend moving dot, 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 and the thing is moving in a particular direction upward from here, this means there is a positive correlation between these two variables. So the scatter plot helps you see it easily. You don't need to start reading all this -1, +1, 0 point something. So if there is a strong correlation, you are going to see it in the scatter plot. If there is no correlation, it will be scattered everywhere. There will be no direction, right? If there is a negative correlation, it will be reverse. So we're going to also illustrate that when we start working with scatter plot. So these are actually very, very, very good way to represent our data. So next one we are going to come across during our visualization is pie chart. I think this one is the most common, say pie chart. So remember what pie chart is from from our statistics, from statistics that you've probably learned before, from what you've seen. So pie chart is basically a pie like chart that has different section representing different categories. So it is used for categorical data, right? It's used for categorical data. So this one might be books, this one might be another one, right? So remember when we did normalize to get the percentage. So this is exactly how we can represent them in a pie chart to understand the distribution of those categories. So we also have what we call histogram. So this histogram now is a unique kind of chart. It is used to understand the distribution of a continuous variable, that is a numerical variable, right? A numerical variable. Like I just remembered something that we've not actually taken our time to discuss the kind of data we have, the different types of data. And I'm going to try as much as I can to make a video, a pre-recorded video on that and send it to the classroom so we can have an idea of that. So whenever I'm talking about this, it will not be very confusing for you. So I'm going to try to do that. Class rep, please remind me after this class. Yeah, please remind me after the class about that so I will not forget. I need us to understand the different types of data we have, right? So I will either do a pre-recorded video or I will send you a link to a YouTube video explaining it, either of them, but I will just make sure I send you something so you can understand the different kinds of data we have. It is very important that you know that, right? So an histogram is used to understand the distribution of a numerical, especially continuous data. So now for each of these being, they represent a particular value. So let's say what we have here are ages, the age of all your students, right? So you want to represent them in the distribution. So remember, age is not a categorical variable. So you cannot use bar chart for that. You cannot use bar chart because they are categorical, there are plenty, right? So you cannot use pie chart, it will not make sense. So histogram is the best option to use here because it will just show you the distribution of all the age. So the one in the middle here is usually the one with the highest bin here is the age with the highest frequency. So let's say in this place we have age 20, 27, right? So that means in our class, 27 is the most common age, or the one with the highest frequency. So that is where we have our mean, our median, and the mode. So it gives us an idea of the particular number that occurred the most. So we're going to also talk about this too, histogram, but just understand how it looks like and what it is used for. You can as well read further and check other resources to help you understand it. All right, so this is a heat map. A heat map is another data visualization technique or a chart that we can use to understand several things, right? So you can use it to, like, for example, now, let's say we want to represent the correlation, this particular correlation table here. Um, okay, we had a correlation table here, right, that I showed you. So you can represent this correlation table in a heat map. That is what it is mostly used for. So each of the box in the heat map will be represented in a color, right? So the color, the intensity of the color will tell you whether the thing is strongly positively correlated or not correlated at all, or strongly negatively correlated by the color. So heat map usually has a color that is coded into it to show you to give you an idea of, or to help you describe the data that you are plotting, right? So there are actually lots of other visualizations, different charts, right? But these are the most common ones you're going to come across. But hopefully, as we are moving forward, we might come across some that I will need to explain to you and I will need to let you know and understand, right? So, but these are the ones you just need to know for now, right? So, now we've talked about data visualization, just giving an understanding of what it is, what is it, and what is data viz, benefit of data viz, the common data viz techniques. Now we're going to look at the library for data visualization. Right, I think we're going to stop here for today because this is where we are going to have to start digging in deep to this particular library, matplotlib. So matplotlib, I'll just give you a summary of what it is. It's I've explained already before what this particular name is. So it is used for data viz, and it is also built on top of NumPy, right? So people that built matplotlib, they built it on NumPy, right? So to just make everything integrate better. Remember that pandas is built on top of NumPy. So matplotlib is built on top of NumPy. So everything integrates very, very well. So as you are using matplotlib and pandas and NumPy, you are not going to have any issue. So what you always see whenever you want to do analysis, or what you always expect to do, is to do these three things: import pandas as, or let's see, let me just say, import NumPy as NP, import pandas as PD, and import matplotlib dot pyplot as plot. So this is what you mostly be doing whenever you want to start any analysis. You would import these three libraries. So any data analysis task you want to do, you definitely have to import these three libraries because these are the three things you'll be using. So you'll be using NumPy to just work on there's some things you might want to do, maybe some NumPy element-wise function, or maybe np.mean or np.something. So you need NumPy for that, or you want to create array for some particular purpose. Pandas, yeah, this is what you'll be using for your analysis, the analysis itself. You have to create your data frame. And matplotlib, you'll be using it to plot the insights or explore your data as you are analyzing it with pandas. So this is the three musketeers. Let me put it that way. So these are three plates that always go together. So as a data scientist, you have to know these three libraries, right? You have to know them very, very well. So now you see that we did something here, matplotlib.pyplot. So matplotlib, as we know before, I did something like this, np.random.randint. So this is the same idea with matplotlib. So matplotlib is a very big library. If I come here and say print dir matplotlib print rather print the let me just import. Right. So it will give me a lot of things. So you can you don't have direct functions from this matplotlib. So there's a particular module inside matplotlib that is called pyplot. This is it here, pyplot. So this is the module that you're going to be using in plotting your graphs. That's why we have matplotlib. We now say dot pyplot, right? And then we now say as plot. So we will not be typing pyplot every time. So if I come here and say print dir plot, I'm going to get this. So these are the things you are going to be using actually, right? So these are all the functions and attributes that you're going to be using. As you can see bar. This is for bar chart. You can see let's check scatter plot. So this is scatter plot. You can see, let's say let's check for p. You can see pi here. Right, so this is the particular module or inside matplotlib that you'll be using. So that is where we are going to be working from, right? So just to give you an idea of matplotlib, that is what it is. There are a lot of charts you can plot with it. It is limitless, just like pandas too. That's one of the importance, or that's one of the advantage of using programming to do data analysis. If you're using Excel or other tools to do your analysis, you might be limited in the kind of graph you can plot or the kind of thing you can do. But when you are using programming, the limit is not there. Right? So you can do almost anything you can think of. Right. So that is one of the advantage Python has over other data analysis too. So we're going to learn a lot of things in the next class. Right. But just to give you an idea, we're going to learn what a figure is. Right. A figure is basically like a canvas. Is like the main thing in which all the charts are represented on. So it's like a top level container that holds all the elements of your visualization. So I'm not going to go deep into that today. So you will learn what a figure is, we'll learn what axes are, right? What plot is, subplots, artists of this are advanced. This one is an advanced concept, but we'll still talk about that. And I also learn additional concepts like legends, color maps, annotation, and so many other things. So we're now going to also look at how to use matplotlib for data visualization. We're going to see how we can do that. I've showed you how to import matplotlib. And then this is a sample data, right? And now we can create plots by using the plots dot whatever function you want to. You can see bar, you can see scatter, you can see pi, you can see hist. Right, so we're going to look at all these things. We're going to look at how we can customize our charts, how we can display our chart, and even save it to our computer. Right, so we can actually save the image to our computer and share it to other people. So there are a lot of things we are going to look at in matplotlib, right? So unfortunately, time is not on our side at all. Honestly, I wish we can extend it, but this is what we're going to be working with. We are going to just have to stop here for this week, and then next week we'll continue and round up with matplotlib. So what I'm going to be giving you as assignment today is just on pandas alone. So next week I'm going to give you a combination of pandas and matplotlib. That is a combination of using pandas and creating a visualization too. Right. So this is it for today. We're going to be stopping here. And please, I'm going to be taking just a few questions, right? And we're going to call it a day. So, yeah, that is actually where we're going to be stopping for today. We are actually this 4 minutes. Yeah. So let me just take questions. 2 questions or 3 questions before we call it a day. All right. Amalade Sonoga, you are allowed to speak now. Please go on to speak. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Emmanuel. I
Yeah, good
enjoy
evening.
today's session. So my question is, if we are to work on different files, for example, let's say in an FMCG company now, you want to compare data in different years, maybe 2020 to 2023. You want to check like a product that sells more, or from which year you sold more products of a particular company. How are you going to go about it? Because what we just worked on today is working on set of data in the same file. So what if you're having different files, different years? How do you combine them and how do you work on it?
Okay. Yeah, these are the kinds of realistic um problems you would have when doing data analysis. Everything will not come easy to you, right? So let's assume you have different files from different years. You have a file for 2020, you have a file for 2021, you have a file for 2022. You would actually have to combine everything. So instead of, you can actually use pandas for it, right? You can merge data frames. I don't know if we talked about that, right? But
No, we
yeah,
didn't.
we can actually. What do you say?
Said we did not.
Okay,
Merging
yeah.
data frames.
Okay, so I think we'll probably have to look at that later. But you can merge data frames together with different tools. But what you mostly use for this is Excel. You can bring in your data from different years, just combine it using Excel, right? Or maybe other software tools that might be
Sorry, like
convenient.
QuickBook.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the reprocessing things or the things that you would do to have your data in the right format. So most of the time, your analysis won't take a lot of time. What is going to take time is you arranging your data to be fit for analysis. So that is usually what takes the time most. Whenever I'm doing analysis for people, I spend more time putting the data in the right format so that analysis will be easy for me. So this your question now is actually a very valid and realistic question and something that can happen. So you'd have to look for a way to combine all the years together and bring them into a single file, a single file. So that is just how we are going to do that. Unless you are working in a database an SQL database where you can actually work from multiple tables, but that one is a different thing on its own, right? So that should be it, and that should be how you would go about it if you have such a problem, or if you have this kind of data.
Okay,
So
thank you.
yeah, that should be it for the question. Yeah, Solomon, you're on mute. Please, you can go on to ask your question. Hello. Okay. Does anyone have any other question? Does anyone have any other
Yes, can you
question?
hear me? Good evening.
Yeah, I can hear you, but it seems like your network is breaking. Hello,
Wow,
Solomon.
wow. Hello.
Yeah, I
Yes, can
can
you hear me?
hear
Good
you.
evening. Oh shit.
I can hear you, Solomon. Please go on. All right, let me call up another person. See, I think your network is having issue, right? Daniel, you are on mute now. You can go on to ask your question. You're on mute, Daniel. Please go on to ask your question. I don't know why we always have issues with
Network
networking.
is actually
All
very
right,
bad.
let me call up. Okay. Babatunde,
Okay. I
are on
said
mute.
oh God. The you made mention of how to import data from Excel.
Who
So
is
I
speaking, please?
actually want to, oh God, this network is very bad. but
Yeah, you can just drop your question on the group chat.
yes, Solomon speaking. I want to know how to import data from Excel, like just like the way you were trying to explain to Amodele, or that's not her name just now.
You want to know how to import data from Excel? Hello.
Okay, okay.
Okay, if that's your question, I believe I talked about something like that yesterday, where you can use a different function for that. That is your read
Yes, yes, yes.
Excel. Yeah, read
Oh, I don't,
read
I
dot
don't know
read
why this
Excel
network
instead
is
of
like this. Yes, that actually my question.
yeah. I answered it yesterday. You are there's a different function for Excel as there's a different function for um for CSV. So you just use that specific function for Excel file, right? But there are parameters, right, that you can also specify in case in that particular Excel file you want to import from a specific worksheet. You know, Excel have different worksheets. So there are parameters that you can also use to import from it. So these are things that you can just look up on your own. There are a lot of things that we can possibly talk about here, but we will not exhaust them. So if you have questions like this, I can try to answer them, but because of time, I might not be able to demonstrate all these things. So I'll just do the one that is most common, right? The one that is most common and the one that you would almost always work with. So for Excel, most of the time it's just easy for you. You can just easily convert your Excel file to CSV and you import it, right? But if you need to import from Excel, you can just use a read Excel function, right? And then specify the Excel file that is with .xlsx. So it's as straightforward as that. You can actually also use there's a parameter to specify the worksheet name. So yeah, that is just it for that. It's just as straightforward as importing CSV. Is that the only question you have? All right, Babatunde, I've unmuted you now. You can
Okay,
go on to speak.
okay, thank you, thank you. That's
Babatunde, you are on mute now.
Hello, sir. Can
Yeah,
you hear me, sir? All
yeah, I
right.
can hear you.
So the question I want to ask is that yesterday when you were teaching us, you said you are going to tell us how we can or where we can get data from. You know, maybe a website or somewhere that we can get. So I would like to know. I don't know. Maybe it escaped your mind, or still you still want to tell us in subsequent class. So I would like you to tell us so that we can have enough data to work with. So that is the question I want to ask. And then another thing I want to ask is that maybe an organization approach you to help them with an analysis, and they don't actually have a system that captured data for them over the years. They don't have a data that you can work with. As a data scientist, is it part of your job to look for data for them? And how can I say data scientists do that?
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question. All right, for the first question, I believe I showed you that during the end of the lecture yesterday. If you were here, I took us to Cargo. Yeah, Cargo website. It's like a community where you can get a lot of things that relate to data science. So yeah, I showed us yesterday Kaggle. So it's actually a very good place where you can get a lot of data. So if you probably missed it, you can just go back to the recording and go to the last part of the video. You'll see there. Yeah, I showed us that. So I don't know if you missed it or I don't know exactly what happened.
No, I was in the class, but towards the end, my data ran out, so I couldn't.
Yeah. So just go back
I
to the
missed that part.
recording. All right, yeah, just go back. So the person that asks for Excel, so this is it. PD read Excel, the file part, and then the sheet name, right? So because Excel has different worksheets, so you specify the sheet name here, so it will import it specifically. So this is how you import an Excel file in Pandas. So I believe that should answer your question. And we'll take one more question and we'll call it a day. All right, Ibrahim, you're on mute. Hello, Ibrahim. You raised your hand. You're on mute. You can go on to ask your question.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. Yeah. Good evening.
I want to talk more about the question the lady asked. Maybe you can help us do a video, like a video of this class on how to combine different data from different year. Because the way you explained it, I did not really get the explanation.
All right. All right. We'll take note of that. There are actually a lot
Thank
of
you.
things that we have to do. We don't have that time resource to look at everything, like every scenario that you're going to meet in data analysis, right? So I can't promise that, but I'll try. If I can
Okay,
find a
also
video.
you can drop a material that can just put us through, maybe like a textbook or a
Yeah,
link.
yeah, that's what I'm about to say. If I can get the material that would help with that, I would definitely. I will even look for that material after this class, and I will reference it. I will just put it on the Google Classroom so you can see it. All right. So, but on your own, like, please go on and just explore. There are a lot of resources. There are a lot of things out there. So go to YouTube. You'll see videos that will help you with that. Right. So we'll be ending here. We actually spent over 2 hours. And I believe we've learned something from today's class. Right, we were able to go finish with pandas, at least the basics and fundamentals, helping you understand how to go through the different stages of data analysis, from data acquisition to data cleaning to EDA, right? So these are the things that you mostly be encountering during your data analysis work as a data scientist. So we're going to be ending here and calling it a day. I Yeah, so we'll be meeting next week Saturday, the same by 3 to 5 p.m. And then we'll actually try to wrap up with matplotlib and enter machine learning. So for the machine learning for next week, I'm going to introduce us to machine learning, um, give us an understanding, conceptual overview of machine learning. We have supervised machine learning, we have unsupervised machine learning, and we have reinforcement learning. So we are going to talk about this, right, in a conceptual level. So the subsequent weeks will now start, right, with scikit-learn and basically implementing all the concepts we're going to be learning next week. So just prepare yourself. If possible, you can read ahead. The textbook is there. The textbook also have a section for machine learning, so you can read ahead. You don't need to understand everything. So when you come to class, the things you've read, you definitely understand. So just let me know in the group chat if you enjoy this class, and if you just let us know what you learned in the class basically. And I want to see your feedback, honestly. I personally enjoyed the class and I believe you do too. So just drop one or two on the live chat and have a nice day. Yeah, see you next week and God bless you.